Evan stood in his small quarters aboard the alien research outpost, staring at the sleek panels of the communicator. He had been stationed on Valora, a peaceful yet strict planet in the outskirts of the Zorith cluster, for over 6 months. During that time, he had learned to respect the alien customs, their intricate social hierarchies, and the sometimes confusing etiquette of the Valoran court. But nothing in his training had prepared him for this moment. A thunderous knock shook the door. Evan jumped. He had been so absorbed in translating an old Valoran poem that he hadn't noticed the time. The knock came again, louder this time, almost vibrating the walls. "Evan, open this door, now." The voice was sharp, commanding, and unmistakably royal. Evan swallowed nervously.
Ow.
The only person who spoke like that was Queen Zaretha, ruler of Valora, grandmother to the curious and fearless young Lyri. She was known for her impeccable control over the palace, her sharp intelligence, and her zero-tolerance policy for disrespect. Evan opened the door to see the queen standing there, her arms crossed, eyes blazing. Her usual calm composure was gone, replaced by pure indignation. "Human," she said, her voice low but fierce. "Explain yourself." Evan blinked. "Your Majesty, explain." "What?" The queen stepped forward. "Why is my grandchild calling you MotherFKer?" Evan froze. "Mother? What?" "MotherFKer." The queen's eyes narrowed. "I have asked Lyri repeatedly, and she refuses to stop. She insists you are some MotherFKer." Evan's mind raced. The term Lyri had used was Earth slang, something he had muttered absent-mindedly the previous night while tinkering with his personal equipment. On Earth, it had been a silly joke, harmless, playful, but obviously, in Valoran culture, children repeating strange human words could be seen as an insult to the adult it referenced. I think there's a misunderstanding, Your Majesty," Evan said cautiously. "It's not an insult. It's just something I said jokingly back home. I didn't mean to misunderstanding." Queen Zaretha's tone grew sharper. "Your words have reached her, and now she repeats them constantly. If this is your idea of humor, it is offensive in our culture. You will correct this immediately, or I will see you removed from the palace." Evan's stomach sank. Removal from the palace was bad enough, but in the Zorith cluster, the queen's word was law. Exile from Valora would mean leaving the research project unfinished, betraying the trust of the very aliens who had welcomed him 6 months ago. "Your Majesty," Evan said, bowing slightly, "please allow me a chance to explain. I am not disrespecting you. I can show Lyri that it's harmless." The queen raised an eyebrow, skeptical but curious. "Show her." "How will a human teach a Valoran child that their own tongue is misunderstood?" Evan swallowed and thought fast. "Perhaps I could spend time with her. I can teach her games, human stories, and the meaning of words. She will understand through experience that my words are not meant to offend." The queen stared at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she sighed. "Very well. You will spend 3 days with Lyri human. If she repeats this phrase even once more during that time, you will face immediate exile. Do you understand?" Evan nodded, relieved.
"Yes, Your Majesty. I understand."
The queen turned sharply, her flowing robes rustling as she moved. "I will be watching. Do not disappoint me." With that, she left, the heavy doors slamming shut behind her. Evan exhaled and sank onto the chair beside the communicator. 3 days. He had 3 days to turn a small linguistic mistake into a lesson in respect. Not just for Lyri, but for himself. Lyri, meanwhile, was perched high atop a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. She had been watching Evan quietly for weeks, fascinated by the human's odd gestures, strange language, and clumsy attempts at Valoran etiquette. But yesterday she had overheard him muttering a phrase in his sleep. MotherFKer. Oh, not again. The words had sounded funny, powerful, and confusing to her young mind. She repeated them aloud, testing the sound of the syllables, laughing quietly to herself. It was not meant as an insult, yet when the queen heard it, the situation escalated dramatically. Now, she was being sent to spend 3 days with Evan. The child's eyes sparkled with curiosity. She had a sense of mischief and adventure, and somehow she knew this human would be interesting. Evan met Leary in the palace atrium the following morning. She stood there, arms crossed, her small frame defiant and unafraid. "So," she said, tilting her head, "you're the one they call MotherFKer." Evan smiled awkwardly. I'm not really that. That's just a misunderstanding." Leary's eyes twinkled. "Misunderstanding or not, I like the sound. Can I say it again?" Evan laughed nervously. "Maybe, eventually. But first, we need to get to know each other." He decided the best way to teach her was through actions, not words. He spent the morning showing her simple human games. They built small puzzles from scrap materials, ran relay races in the gardens, and even tried painting Earth-style watercolors. Leary was quick to learn and faster to imitate. She laughed freely, her curiosity unmatched by any Valoran child Evan had met. At lunch, Evan attempted to explain the phrase. "You know, Leary," he began carefully, "on Earth, sometimes we say words that sound strange. MotherFKer is one of them. It's not meant to hurt anyone, it's just a silly joke." Leary frowned, considering this. Silly joke. "Then why does it sound powerful?" "Well," Evan said, choosing his words with care, "it sounds like you're giving me a title, almost like a funny kind of respect. But it is different from Valoran titles." The child laughed. "I like it anyway. But I will only call you that if it's okay." Evan nodded. "Deal? Only if it's okay with me and the Queen." The first day passed peacefully. Evan realized the key to surviving this trial was to connect with Leary on her level. By showing patience, kindness, and humor, he could turn her playful mischief into understanding by the evening. They were both sitting in the palace gardens, watching the twin suns set over the distant mountains. Leary rested her head on Evan's shoulder. "You're different from the other humans," she said softly. Evan smiled. "I hope that's a good thing. You're brave and funny, and not scary." Leary's words made him laugh quietly. "Even if you are called MotherFKer," Evan chuckled. "I guess I'll have to get used to it." The next morning, however, brought a new challenge. Palace guards reported that several nobles had overheard Leary repeating the phrase in her sleep. Rumors spread that humans used strange, possibly disrespectful words, and whispers of scandal began circulating. Evan realized that the misunderstanding was wider than he thought. This was not just a small miscommunication. It could affect human-alien relations on Valora for years. He decided to take bold action. That day, he invited several of the nobles to a cultural demonstration. He explained Earth phrases, their meanings, and the harmless nature of humor. He even taught them some Earth songs and gestures. Leary proudly repeated the phrases under his guidance, showing that humans could be playful without being disrespectful. The Queen, however, remained silent. She observed from the throne room, her gaze sharp and unreadable. Evan could feel her judgment with every glance. By the end of the second day, Evan had earned small victories. Leary now understood that the phrase was harmless, and several nobles laughed at the funny sounds of Earth slang. But Queen Zaretha's final verdict still loomed. That night, Evan sat alone, looking at the twin moons above Valora. He felt a mix of hope and anxiety. One more day remained. If he failed, he could be exiled. If he succeeded, he might gain not just the Queen's approval, but a unique place in Valoran history. And somewhere in the palace, Leary was whispering the words again, not as a joke, but as a test, curious to see how her human friend would react. Evan smiled. He would be ready. The morning sun cast a soft golden glow over the palace gardens, where Evan and Leary were already awake and preparing for another day. Birds with shimmering feathers chirped in the alien trees, their songs strange yet melodious. The air was cool and fragrant, carrying the scent of flowers that only grew on Valora. Evan took a deep breath, trying to calm the nerves that had been growing since yesterday. Today would be the critical day. The final day of his trial with Leary, the Queen's eyes would be on him. And the palace whispers about the MotherFKer incident were growing louder. Leary skipped toward him, her small feet making hardly a sound against the polished floor. "Good morning, Mother." "Human," she said with a teasing smile. Evan laughed nervously. "Good morning, Leary. Let's try not to get me into more trouble today. The child giggled. I can't help it. Your words are funny. But don't worry, I will be careful. Maybe. Evan shook his head, realizing that controlling a mischievous child, especially one as intelligent as Leary would be, far more difficult than any diplomatic negotiation he had ever faced. Still, he had a plan. Engage her curiosity with structured activities. Teach her the meaning of human words through experience, and show the nobility of human behavior in action. Their first task of the day was a training exercise. Evan had constructed a simple obstacle course using ropes, small platforms, and balance beams. It was inspired by human children's games, but adapted to Valora's low gravity. Today, Evan explained, we will run, jump, climb, and solve puzzles. Whoever finishes first gets a prize. He pointed to a small box containing Valoran Sweets Larry's favorite treat. Leary's eyes sparkled. I like prizes. Let's start. The child darted forward with lightning speed, laughing as Evan struggled to keep up. Despite her small size, her agility and reflexes were remarkable. Evan realized that Valoran children, with their advanced physical training, were far stronger than human children of the same age. At one point, Leary stopped mid-run, tilting her head. Wait, what does MotherFKer mean again? She asked innocently, curiosity glinting in her eyes. Evan paused. He knew this was a critical moment. A careless answer could undo all progress. Leary, he said slowly, it's not a real title. It doesn't mean anything serious. On Earth, sometimes we say words that sound important or funny, but they don't hurt anyone. Leary frowned slightly, thinking, so it's like a pretend name? Like in stories, when animals talk? Exactly, Evan exclaimed. It's just pretend. The child laughed and nodded. Okay, but it still sounds funny when I say it. Evan smiled. Humor could be a bridge, he thought. A shared laugh could help her understand that humans are not rude by default. After the exercise, they moved to the palace library, a towering structure filled with ancient scrolls, holographic books, and glowing maps of distant star systems. Evan had discovered that Valorans loved storytelling, and he planned to use it to teach Leary about Earth customs. He opened a holographic book about Earth's legends, showing stories of brave humans who overcame impossible odds. Leary's eyes widened as she watched images of humans exploring deserts, climbing mountains, and navigating raging rivers. These humans are small, she said thoughtfully. But they are very brave. Yes, Evan agreed. Humans are small, but our courage and cleverness make us strong. Leary looked at him for a long moment. Like you? Evan laughed softly. Maybe. I try to be brave. The Queen's words from 2 nights ago echoed in his mind. You will spend 3 days with the child. If she repeats such words again, you will face exile. He realized that courage was not enough. He needed wisdom and patience. By midday, word had reached the palace courtyard that Evan was engaging Leary in human games and stories. Some curious nobles arrived quietly, observing from a distance. Rumors of strange human teachings were spreading, and some whispered anxiously about the potential cultural faux pas. Evan noticed their presence but ignored it. He had a bigger concern, keeping Leary from repeating the troublesome phrase in front of the adults. Leary, he said gently, let's practice a new game. Every time you want to say something funny, try clapping your hands instead. The child tilted her head. Clap, that doesn't sound as fun. Trust me, Evan said, smiling. It's even more fun when we do it together. Leary shrugged and clapped, giggling as Evan joined her. Slowly, they turned this playful activity into a subtle lesson in self-control and respect. Without her even realizing it, the afternoon brought a more serious test. Leary and Evan were asked to join the Queen in the ceremonial hall where she held daily meetings with the Council of Elders. This was dangerous if Leary blurted out MotherFKer in front of the assembly. It could spark a scandal. Evan whispered to Leary, remember our game. Clap if you want to say something funny. The child nodded solemnly. I will try. But the room is so big, I might forget. As they entered the hall, Queen Zaretha's piercing gaze fell on Evan, Her expression was unreadable, a mixture of expectation and quiet judgment. Evan felt the weight of history and culture pressing on him. Leary stayed close, holding his hand. She looked around at the elders, trying to absorb their expressions and movements. The child was impressively aware, and Evan felt a surge of pride. The session began with formal discussions of planetary affairs. Evan took careful notes while Leary observed quietly. Every once in a while, she whispered to him with a mischievous grin, "Mother, Clapper." Evan chuckled softly, relieved she was substituting words with gestures. After the meeting, Evan and Leary walked through the palace gardens to reflect. "You did very well today," Evan said. "You followed the rules and didn't say the phrase in front of the elders." Leary beamed. "I tried. But I want to say it someday. Just not now." "That's fair," Evan said. "Part of learning is knowing when it's the right time for words." The queen appeared quietly at the edge of the garden, observing them. Evan froze, worried that she might scold him for speaking casually with Leary. But to his surprise, she only nodded slightly before turning and walking away. It was a small sign of approval but meaningful. Evening came with an unexpected challenge. Leary's curiosity led her to the palace kitchen, where she discovered alien delicacies that steamed and glowed in delicate bowls. She began experimenting with mixing ingredients, laughing at the strange smells and colors that emerged. Evan joined her, explaining how humans combine flavors and spices to make food both tasty and fun. "You humans are strange," Leary said with a giggle. "You mix things that don't belong together." "That's the fun of it," Evan replied. "Sometimes strange combinations create something wonderful." As they cooked, Evan noticed the kitchen staff peeking in, whispering to one another. The word MotherFKer had started circulating again, but this time as a playful nickname for the human who could teach children and adults alike. Evan realized that humor, kindness, and action could change perception faster than words alone. Nightfall brought the most crucial test of all. Leary had been playing near a small training drone when a malfunction caused it to spin out of control. It hovered dangerously close to her, its mechanical arms swinging unpredictably. Without thinking, Evan dashed forward, catching the child in his arms just as the drone veered toward them. He pushed her to safety, taking a small hit from one of the drone's appendages himself. Leary's eyes widened with amazement. "You saved me," she exclaimed. "You're brave and strong, and maybe even more than a funny name." Evan smiled, wincing slightly from the minor scrape. "I'll always keep you safe, Leary. That's more important than any words we say." The child hugged him tightly. "Then you're not a MotherFKer. You're my protector." Evan felt a warm pride fill him. After days of teaching, explaining, and guiding, Leary finally understood the meaning behind his actions. Words were one thing, but deeds spoke louder than language as he tucked Leary into bed that night. Evan reflected on the events of the past 2 days. The queen's initial anger, the whispers of the court, and the challenge of teaching a mischievous child had tested him in ways no interstellar mission could. Yet, through patience, kindness, and courage, he had begun to bridge the gap between human and Valoran culture. Evan knew the final day would be the ultimate test. If he could earn the queen's approval and, more importantly, the trust and respect of Leary, he might not only save his place on Valora, but also gain a unique bond that could influence relations between Earth and Valora for generations. He gazed out the window at the twin moons, their light reflecting on the palace spires. Somewhere in the palace, Queen Zaretha was observing, evaluating, judging. But Evan was ready. Whatever happened tomorrow, he would face it with the same courage, honesty, and patience that had guided him this far. And Leary, the spirited child who had once repeated a misunderstood Earth phrase, now looked at him not with mischief, but with trust and admiration. The sun rose slowly over Valora, painting the sky in shades of gold and violet. The twin moons lingered faintly in the morning sky, a reminder of the planet's unique beauty. Today was the final day of Evan's trial with Leary, and he knew that the Queen's eyes would follow their every move. Evan prepared himself mentally. He had spent 2 days teaching Leary human customs, guiding her with patience, and showing her through action that words alone did not define respect. He had proven courage when protecting her from the training drone. Yet the real test lay ahead, earning the Queen's approval. Leary ran toward him, holding a small glowing orb she had found in the palace gardens. "Good morning, Protector," she said with a grin. "Ready for today?" Evan smiled. "As ready as I can be. Are you?" Leary nodded eagerly. "I've practiced not saying the words at the wrong time. I can do it." Together, they walked toward the ceremonial hall, where the Queen was already waiting. The air in the hall was thick with anticipation. Courtiers and advisors whispered quietly among themselves, curious to see how this human and the mischievous child would interact after days of unusual lessons. Queen Zaretha sat upon her throne, her expression calm but sharp. "Evan," she said, her voice echoing through the hall, "today will reveal whether humans truly understand the nature of respect, or if your species is as reckless as the rumors suggest." Evan bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I am prepared to demonstrate understanding, patience, and courage. I hope my actions speak louder than words." The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, but she gave no further response. She would judge by observation, not promises. Leary stepped forward, her small hands clenched in excitement. "Queen Zaretha," she began, "I have learned something important these past days. The human called me funny names, yes, but he never meant to hurt me. He is brave, kind, and always protects me." The Queen's gaze shifted from Leary to Evan. Her expression remained stoic, but a flicker of curiosity crossed her face. Leary continued, "I was going to say the words again, but I realized they were not important. What matters is his heart. He is my protector, and that is what counts." Evan felt a rush of relief. Leary had internalized the lesson not just about words, but about actions, courage, and respect. Queen Zaretha remained silent for a moment, then spoke. "You have acted with patience, human. You have shown understanding, creativity, and courage. And yet, the question remains, do you truly grasp the significance of Valoran tradition and respect?" Evan nodded. "Your Majesty, I respect your culture deeply. I have done my best to adapt and to teach Leary through games, stories, and actions. I understand that words have weight here, but deeds reveal true intent." The Queen leaned forward slightly. "Deeds. Yes. Actions can speak louder than words. But there is one final measure of understanding. You must demonstrate that your courage and kindness extend beyond the child to the people, the palace, and the traditions that bind Valora together." Evan straightened. "I am ready to do so." At that moment, the palace alarms rang a soft but urgent chime. A holographic map of Valora appeared in the center of the hall, showing a small fire in one of the research wings. Scientists and apprentices were trapped behind locked doors. The fire was spreading rapidly. Without hesitation, Evan ran toward the doors, Leary following closely. "Stay close," he shouted. "We must get them out safely." The courtiers gasped. The Queen's advisors whispered nervously. No human had ever responded so swiftly to a real emergency in the palace. Using his knowledge of the building's systems, Evan navigated the corridors with Leary at his side. He found the trapped scientists and instructed them calmly. "Follow me, step by step. Do not panic." Leary helped too, guiding the smaller children through narrow passages, proving that she had learned responsibility and courage in addition to words together. They led everyone safely out of the fire zone. Evan even managed to reroute the buildings, automated sprinklers to contain the flames until the palace safety drones arrived. The Queen watched silently from the ceremonial hall as the scene unfolded on the holographic feed. She did not speak, yet her gaze softened slightly. The human had acted decisively, calmly, and with no thought for personal safety. After the emergency was resolved, the Queen summoned Evan and Leary to the ceremonial hall once more. The court was silent, waiting for her judgment. Queen Zaretha's voice echoed through the hall. "Human," she said, "you have demonstrated courage, wisdom, patience, and respect. You have taught my grandchild not merely words, but the values of understanding and care. You have also proven yourself in action, protecting our people from harm. Evan bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored. The Queen's gaze shifted to Leary. And you, child, have learned that words alone do not define character. Actions, intentions, and courage matter more than playful mischief or misunderstood phrases. Leary stood proudly. Yes, grandmother. Evan is not a MotherFKer. He is my protector and teacher. And I want everyone to know it. The Queen's expression softened into a faint smile, rare and precious. She turned to the assembly. Let it be known that this human, Evan of Earth, has earned the trust and respect of the royal family. From this day forth, he shall be recognized as a guardian of the royal line. Gasps and whispers filled the hall. Nobles bowed, courtiers clapped softly, and even the palace guards gave respectful nods. Evan felt a mix of pride and relief. He had faced cultural misunderstandings, mischievous children, and life-threatening emergencies. Yet through patience, courage, and understanding, he had earned the highest honor a human could achieve on Valora. After the ceremony, Queen Zaretha approached Evan privately. Her gaze was serious, but her tone gentle. Human, she said, you have taught me a lesson as well. You have shown that courage, kindness, and understanding can transcend species and culture. Few humans would act as you have. Evan smiled humbly. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only hoped to do what was right. The Queen's lips curved into a rare, warm smile. Very well. You shall remain on Valora. Your guidance with my grandchild has proven invaluable, and your courage has earned my trust. But, she added with a slight twinkle in her eye, I forbid the phrase entirely within my palace. Let us leave MotherFKer as a private joke between you and Leary. Evan laughed softly. Understood, Your Majesty. Later, Evan and Leary returned to the gardens. The child ran ahead, laughing and playful. Do you think they all like me calling you funny names? Evan shook his head, smiling. I think they understand the heart behind it now, and that's more important than the words. Leary paused and looked up at him seriously. You're my protector, Evan, not a name, not a title. Just you. Evan felt a warm sense of accomplishment. Over the past 3 days, he had turned a misunderstanding into trust, respect, and friendship. He had faced challenges, cultural differences, and Dangerand had proven the best qualities of humanity: courage, kindness, and cleverness. As the twin moons rose, reflecting silver light across the palace gardens, Evan realized that his life on Valora had changed forever. He was no longer just a visitor or an outsider. He had become part of the Valoran story, a human honored for understanding, courage, and heart. And somewhere in the palace, Queen Zaretha observed quietly. Knowing she had found a rare human whose actions spoke louder than any misunderstanding ever could, Leary skipped ahead, laughing, and Evan followed, ready for whatever adventures awaited them next. The word MotherFKer was now nothing more than a shared joke between friends, a reminder that even across worlds, humanity could inspire respect, courage, and laughter.